was 1982 and I just started motocross, which is an off-road sport. This pub behind us, the Anglers Inn, is where our old motocross clubhouse used to be. And unbeknown to us, after leaving here and the little walk up the road, about a mile, we were about to see something that was going to change our way of thinking forever. And our clubhouse was upstairs in that pub. I was 15 years old and my cousin was 16. It was upon leaving that pub there, we were about to witness something very, very strange. So this is Pilchards Avenue in Fair Oak. And it was the walk up here in 1982 that was going to change my view on life and the world forever. As me and my cousin Peter, as we walked down this road, we didn't believe in ghosts. We were talking about everything other than ghosts, bikes, girls, etc, etc. And down the end of this road's an alleyway, which I'm just going to show you. So we're now walking down the alleyway at the top of Pilchards Avenue. So me and my cousin Peter, we walked down through here. We weren't afraid of the dark. We didn't believe in ghosts. But as we got to the end of this alleyway, Peter was walking on my left shoulder. I was on the right hand side. As we, back in the days, back in the early 80s, all of these houses, none of this was here. It was just woods and fields. And we got to about here, and to my right, where all these houses were, there was a big field. And it was a field roughly the size of a football pitch. And what I was about to witness was going to change my paradigm for good. So, we entered the footpath that cuts through Bishopstoke Woods. And we're walking along the footpath, as I say. Peter's on my left shoulder, I'm on the right hand side. It was a warm summer's night, full moon, very warm. We were in t-shirts. And we're walking along on our merry way, and I've happened to look to my right, over my right shoulder, and looked out into this dark field. And to my amazement, I've seen a white figure in the far corner of the field, which caught my eye. And straight away, I've thought to myself, well, there's no animals in this field, which we knew for sure. And then I've realised it wasn't a person as such. And I've watched this tall white figure then glide down the far end of the field and come towards us down the bottom side of the field. As I say, that the field was football field sized, and this apparition was doing a complete circuit, like you'd run around a football field in a clockwise direction. So being as my cousin was a bit older and a bit bigger than me and a bit of a mickey taker, before I said anything, I wanted to know what I was seeing. And I blinked a few times, and the closer this apparition got to us, the more I realised that we were seeing a ghost. So anyway, when I knew, well, I didn't know whether I was seeing things. So what I did next was I turned to my left and I tapped Peter on the shoulder. I didn't say a word. I just said, pointed and said, look. And anyway, sure enough, Peter saw what I was seeing. And we didn't murmur a word. We were just absolutely just frozen with fear and surprise, I guess. And anyway, simultaneously, together, we sank down onto our knees and just watched. And there was once a field a fence around this field, which had long broken down. It was an old barbed wire fence. By this time it was on the ground, and there was like the remnants of a few bushes, which was like a hedge. Anyway, me and Peter, we had a clear view of this apparition. We sunk down onto our knees. We didn't say a word. We were absolutely frozen with fear, confusion. Yeah, we didn't expect this at all. So, and then we watched her. It was a lady. She had a long white gown. She came within about, at the closest, about 15 feet to us, really close. And in fact, so close, we could see the creases on her long, it's like she was wearing some sort of long ball gown, or a wedding dress. She was so clear. She was white, like monochrome, like an old black and white TV picture. Not solid. The best way I could probably describe her makeup was it was like condensed fog, mist, smoke put together in an absolutely unmistakable form of a human being. This wasn't one of those sightings where it's an if, but, or a maybe. We were fortunate enough, or unfortunate enough, to be able to kneel down in the grass and watch her for a good 5 minutes, to the point where there was no ifs, buts or maybes. We were seeing a ghost. So anyway, it got to the point where we decided to make a run for it. And as we, bearing in mind this field is football field size, we were on the halfway line. So what we realised is we knew it took her exactly the same time every time to go down one side, down the other side, and along 10 or 15 feet in front of us. And I will say, she was that close to us. Every time she was at the closest point, she would look over at us, and I'll never forget the look on our face. It was a look of terror. It makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up now. She was like, she knew we was there, but she didn't. She just carried on doing what she was doing. And the look on that face, the face was very human. You could make out the features, but as I say, it was monochrome, white, black and white, white. Anyway, so we decided to make a run for it. So when she got down to the far corner of the field, we knew it bought us enough time to run the other way and go down the other side. And that's exactly what we did. And I can only say I've never ran that fast in my life. I wouldn't look over my right shoulder, nor would Peter. And we did the sprint in a very short time, straight back down onto Sandy Lane, back into the streetlights, where we looked at each other, and we were obviously still in a bit of a state of shock. So anyway, we walked the remainder of the walk up Sandy Lane and along the main Fair Oak Road down to the top of Crowd Hill Terrace, where my cousin Peter lived. We've gone indoors. By this time my dad had arrived about 11 o'clock at night to pick me up, to take me back to Winchester. And we told our parents. Peter told his mum and dad. I told my dad. But this is one of those subjects, you know, and unless you see it, you don't believe it. It's a tricky one. Anyway, this whole trip out to Fair Oak the following week, it was either the following week or a fortnight later, we've had to do exactly the same trip again. And Peter and I, so I've made my way from Winchester out to Fair Oak, hooked up with Peter, and then we've gone down the Fair Oak Road. We turned right by the Fox and Hounds pub, and as it was still daylight, we had no qualms of walking down past where we saw the White Lady. So anyway, we've ended up going down to the Anglers Inn, gone upstairs to the clubhouse, booked our races up, socialised a bit, and then left the anglers in again. And had to do the same old walk again up the Bishopstoke Road, up Sandy Lane, turn left into Pilchards Avenue. Anyway, as we're going up Sandy Lane this time, we've ended up bumping into one of my cousin's school friends who knew quite well. Turns out that this lad lived in the big house, literally 100 yards, if that, from where we saw the White Lady. Anyway, as we're walking up Sandy Lane, we've started walking up Pilchards Avenue, we've said to this lad what we saw, and we've asked him, where he lives so near, if he'd seen anything weird. And he hummed and he hawed, but he hadn't seen anything like what we'd seen the week, 2 weeks previous. So, quick slurp of my tea. Mouth's getting a bit dry all this chat. So, this time, there's 3 of us. We're heading up Pilchards Avenue. And we're still talking about this strange thing we saw the week before. Anyway, it was about the same time of night. It was about 10:30. There was 3 of us. We got to the same point in the field, and we've looked out, and she's there again. The same lady, doing exactly the same circuit around the field. This time, the 3 of us have all sunk down onto our knees. We've just, the 3 of us this time, stared through at this apparition of the lady. We've watched her going round and round the field, and every time she's passed us, she's turned her head slightly and looked at us, and it looked like the poor thing was terrified. It's a look that I'll never forget. Anyways, yeah, so the 3 of us this time watched for 3, 4, 5 minutes, to the point where this lad was obviously convinced he'd never seen her before. I've never ever spoke to the lad again ever since, and I have spoken to my cousin. Anyway, so the 3 of us, when the lady in white was down to the farthest point of the field, we've made a run for it, and we've ran for our life. I wouldn't look to my right, I wouldn't look behind me. I just did not want to see this thing after us. Anyway, our mate was lucky. He was fortunate. He was able to run into the big house, which I'll show you a video of later on. And Peter and I, we've had to run down to the bottom of Harding's Lane, straight back into the street lights, and obviously then took the street lit walk home back to top of Crowd Hill Terrace, where Peter lived. Anyways, we saw what we saw. We told our parents again, and it's something I've never forgot. But what it did do, it opened my mind up to the fact that ghosts and certain aspects of the paranormal are very real indeed. And from that day on, I started to make a study, my own little study, about the paranormal, other people's experiences, from the age of about 17. And which I'll tell you about some of these other stories I've been told later on. But anyway, this story with the White Lady, it doesn't end here. What happened was it was probably late 90s, early 2000s, probably 20, 25 years on from when we saw her. I was up in Winchester with 2 friends, Sally and Lee. And for whatever reason, we're having a brew or having a catch up, and the paranormal subject came up. And before I could say anything, Sally started to tell me a ghost story that had happened to her dad. Anyway, Sally started off telling me this story, and straight away she described the White Lady. And at that point, I don't know why, I just knew we were talking about the same White Lady. I stopped Sally And because this incident happened to Sally's dad as he drove out of a new estate at about 11 o'clock at night. I didn't know where Sally's dad lived. I mean, I was talking to Sally this evening in Winchester. I had absolutely no idea that Sally's dad had brought one of the new houses on the field where we saw the lady. So anyway, I've stopped Sally and I've gone, your dad's bought one of those new houses on the new estate at the top of Sandy Lane. Now Sally's mouth fell open and she's looked at me and she's gone, how do you know? And I said, I've seen the same ghost. Anyway, what happened to Sally's dad was as he was driving out late one night in his car, he's driving up the road out of the new estate on the field, which is now obviously built on. As he's driving out in his car, a white lady's come across the road and she's gone right through the bonnet of his car. Now, that was the last I heard of her, the white lady. So obviously, even after building on that field, she remained. I'd like to think by now that somebody from Fair Oak or that area called a priest in and did some little blessing and sent the poor lady on her way. If anyone does watch this video and it's from that area and has seen the same apparition, have got any ideas who she was, why she haunted that area, I'd love to know. And that, guys, just about concludes my ghost story. Like I say, I've had about now 40 years of researching the paranormal. Fortunate enough to be in a job where I was able to speak to people from all over the UK, from all kinds of walks of life. And some of the stories I've managed to coax out of people are, unbelievable, which I will cover in my future videos. Yeah, so ending off, people, if you've had any weird paranormal experiences, please let me know in the comments. Also, if you like this, like and subscribe. Love you all, guys. Over and out. So this is Stoke Heights, and in there, it's a new build now, but in there used to be the field in which we saw the apparition of the lady on 2 occasions. Out through there was another footpath, and that's where we used to take a shortcut across back to my cousin's home.